speaker today, Peter Wong.
Scarf. Hello, hello. Woo. Catch my breath. Several years ago, I never would have done that. But here's the thing. Inside, I would have wished that I had. Maybe you can relate. If not dancing in front of a group of people, maybe saying something to someone you didn't get a chance to, or doing something that you've never done before. I'm talking about those big things in life, but I'm also talking about those everyday things. Having that difficult conversation with someone you love, or talking to your supervisor about a situation at work. You know, time after time, when I didn't do what it is that I wanted to do, what it is that I probably needed to do, I felt like a failure. I didn't like myself very much. And I didn't know it at the time, but I didn't love myself. But then, I discovered something. And it has been a game changer. Ready for it? I call it, you know what I call it? Can you guess? Radical vulnerability. Can you say that with me? Radical vulnerability. One more time. Radical vulnerability. Yeah. What does that mean, right? I'm sure you saw in the program, okay, vulnerability, radical vulnerability. It means choosing to show up as your most authentic self. I want you to close your eyes. Imagine, picture, how would your life's perception change if you were to speak your needs, desires, and wants at any given moment? Can you go back to the slide? You can open up your eyes. Sorry. So I'm going to be moving around. I don't like to stay in one place. Today's keynote topic that I chose is live with courage, facing our fears through radical vulnerability. So I might ask you to say it more than once, maybe twice. We'll see how it goes, maybe 3. But can we say the first part together? Live with courage. Live with courage. Facing our fears. Through radical vulnerability. Awesome. These words are so important to me that when I saw the opportunity to share, this was it. We're going to get into it right now. You ready? Let's go. Okay, next one, please. Okay, next one. All right, courage. So let's do some definitions first of all. Courage. Courage, the choice and willingness to confront agony, pain, danger, uncertainty, or intimidation. Okay, next one. Fear. I had a really hard time with this one for quite a while. An intensely unpleasant emotion in response to perceiving or recognizing a danger or threat. And that's just one definition of fear. That's just one that I picked from the internet. Okay, next. And then this one we already talked about. So I was thinking about this morning. I didn't get much sleep, all right, just to let you know. I get really excited. Hopefully in the future I'll get better at it. I get so excited that like going through the presentation over and over. But at least I got a smile on my face, maybe when I'm awake. So when I do presentations, when I speak, I like to, get the new threads, right? Get the new, I don't know what you call it, haircut, right? Swag, right? And I work at the college, and at Century College actually, and we get haircuts, like a discount on haircuts. Right? So I like to go there. Yay, college students, cutting hair. Right? And I'm sitting there, like they call my name, and I go up there and I sit down, and they put the thing around you. Raise your hand if inside, when you're getting a haircut, you're kind of like anticipating, like, is there going to be the conversation or no conversation, right? So my aunt cuts hair. So I grew up like being around someone who loves cutting hair. So that's usually kind of like my go-to is, I'm going to bring my aunt because she cuts hair. And it's just so weird because it's like random, right? But I'm trying to find a thing to relate. And so I'm sitting there in the chair, and the students like moving my head, right? And I'm always like, inside I'm like, it's okay. You can do whatever you want, like you don't have to be gentle, just kind of, just it's okay, But every time it's like, is that okay? It's like, yeah, it's fine, it's okay. But I always do this with people who cut my hair. If they don't start the conversation, inside I'm starting to think like, should I say something? Like I wonder if they were taught to say something, or maybe they're not. I don't know. But this time, because it's so quiet, and because I do a lot of like mind-body training, martial arts, boxing, meditation, yoga, I could feel her heart beating. And I was like, you know what? This is a time for some radical vulnerability here. And I was like, but so here's the thing about radical vulnerability, right? I'm going to speak my needs, desires, and wants. So the first thing that popped in my head was, so I just said the first thing that popped in my head. Do you like going to school here? Right? And then I wait for her response. And then the next thing is, talking more about her program. So my thing is, I love creating safe spaces. Wherever I go, if it's one person, two person, how many people we have here, right? I like to create safe spaces where I want to know who you are. That's why radical vulnerability to me is so important. And let me tell you, that haircut was amazing, right? Was it the best? No. Right? But was it free? Oh, I did have a coupon for free. So normally I pay. I always give tip. Right? So that wasn't planned in my presentation today, but I wanted to share with you. I thought of it this morning, but I hadn't been planning it for weeks or months. But I thought you could relate to that when it comes to haircuts. Because my thing is, I don't want to make that person anxious. I want them to feel good for what they do, for who they are, and I want to feel good too. I don't want to sit there like, if I want to speak. So here's the thing about radical vulnerability. If you don't want to speak, don't speak. Don't force somebody to speak. But if you do, why are you holding back? Okay. All right. Next slide. Okay, your turn. So I want you to think about this question. We've been talking about fear and courage. So I want to ask you, when did your fear, overcome your courage? So my example that I just gave, I wanted to say something, but part of me was, So I almost fed into my fear. I said, you know what? Let's just be courageous here. Let's have some fun. Let's create that safe space. Hopefully. So, first of all, before we do, we're gonna actually pair up. We've been talking about radical vulnerability in however minutes I've been here talking already. So we're gonna do some radical vulnerability practice time. First of all, I always like to see would there be any volunteers that would like to share. I got one. All right. Thank you for sharing. All right. Let's get into our group. Okay. So this is how we're gonna do this. Okay. I'm gonna go mingle, mingle, mingle. All right. How about we try that? Mingle, mingle, mingle. All right. So everyone's gonna get up, and when I go mingle, 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 when I stop, the person that you're closest to, I want you to, touch elbows or touch toes, however you feel comfortable. And then I want you to talk about that, okay? Let's just talk for a little bit because I got a lot to cover today and I want to make sure that I get it all for you, okay? So, everyone stand up. And let's begin. Mingle, mingle, mingle. 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 Go. Stop. Right. If you are a straggler, that's okay. We love you too. Just find a group that you can just join, right? So 2 or 3 is cool, right? And now, radical vulnerability, we're asking each other to be authentic. You can go as personal as you want, as deep as you want, or whatever you feel comfortable, okay? I don't want you to feel uncomfortable, Right? Yeah, question? I know, right? I know. So that's so interesting because there was like a transition, right? So I'll let you decide what you feel like want to share. Okay? But we're dealing with fear and courage. So you can flip it, right? However you want. Okay? Make sure you give the person a chance to speak, listen, and then switch. Okay? And go.
So I told her.
Go away.
Awesome. This is why I love working, or not working, I love speaking to older. You know, I work with middle school, with trio, and they're so little, it's like, they don't listen. Okay, anyways, so, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that. What was shared, please keep that between you and your partner, unless they want you to share it. Cool, right? All right, so just gonna move on. Okay, next one. All right, so today I want to give you 3 points to walk away with. As I was creating this, I was like, oh my gosh, I have so many. Okay? I have so many, so I apologize if I don't give you everything. There's so much that I wish to share, and that's why people are like, when are you going to start your class? When are you going to start your online class? When are you going to finish your book? All right, I'm working on it, okay? But we're going to start with this. Okay, next slide. All right. Next slide. All right. So the first one is love yourself by forgiving and accepting. Okay, next one. All right, here we go. Okay, so I was trying to think of a way to encompass my narrative, my story, the thing that the reason why I do what I do, the reason why I'm here. And originally, I had just the ocean. And I was going to share with you the story, but I felt like I might go off on a tangent because it's so personal to me, and it's something I love sharing because I feel like it's so important. But when I look at this and those words, the thing that resonates with me, or the thing that like my body feels, is just the word pain. Okay, so if you want more detail, well, it'll be in the book. But if you want more detail, feel free to we can talk later. But these are just a few of the things that I was going through, in my mind, things that I was experiencing. And so sometimes in life, there's moments that kind of can pinpoint something like an experience that you'll never forget. And so I used to live in Los Angeles, California. And I had just started boxing and doing mixed martial arts with my mentor, Orpheus Black. I'll be mentioning him later, that's why I said his name. And I used to go jogging after work on the beach. And I remember jogging and then looking out in the ocean. And all these thoughts in me, like I felt all this stuff at the same time. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Nice picture, yes. I felt pretty proud of the life that I had accomplished. I was able to overcome 2 suicides. My grandma took her life. My best friend took his life. I went into a depression. I actually didn't find out what happened with my grandma until I was in therapy, working through what happened to my best friend. I went through depression. I didn't even know what that was. But now that I've gone through it, I know myself that I don't need to go back there. And not saying that depression isn't something that people go through, but I just realized after what I went through, I got a new set of tools. But then more stuff came. So I ended up going to Hong Kong. Amazing. You know, part of my dream happened. I got to work on some movies, like action movies. I got married, came back to Minnesota. Things weren't going well. Ended up getting divorced. At that time, people in my life, like my grandma, my kung fu teacher, who, when I met him, he was 76. When he passed away, he was 90. He was my best friend, one of my best friends, senior citizen. He passed away. My grandma passed away. My uncle, my aunt, and another uncle passed away of cancer. I myself was not happy with, I was looking for an answer, I'm not making enough money. Yes, I decided to move to Los Angeles, but who cares? I love the ocean. I love the lifestyle. I'm doing what I love, but you know what? I'm not. I'm struggling. And I'm sharing this because I want you to know whatever happens in life, it's gonna be challenging. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna hurt. But if you can find ways to persevere, and I'm gonna give you some tools today. Last night I was talking to some students, and they were like, "What tools can we give?" And I was like, "I can give you some. I only have 60 minutes to talk. I can't give you everything, right?" But I wanted to show you with words, because that's what I do, words. This is tough stuff, but it's real. And I want you to know that you're not alone. So, next. Here's one at a time. But here's the thing. Even though I was suffering, even though I was hurting, even though I felt alone, I felt lost, looking for an answer, I knew I have so much love to give. I just didn't know what that meant. Next one. I wanted to have amazing experiences. I already had really cool experiences. I wanted to keep having amazing experiences. My dream is to just travel every day. People ask me, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I said, kind of like Anthony Bourdain, but not cooking. I want to inspire people. Keep living. Next one. I want to live with joy. I used to hear that word joy, and I thought, okay, that's something that you can have once in a while. It shows up. Nah. You can choose it. So I'm about to share with you some of the things that helped me. Again, it's just some of the things. Okay, next. And thank you for doing this. Okay. So the first thing was, I had to get honest with myself. I had to keep it real. I always say it's holding that mirror up and looking at all the, that time period in my life before my transformation. I call it the good, the bad, the ugly, and the uglier. Because there was a lot of difficulty. There was a lot of like shame. There's a lot of things that I didn't like about myself. But there was also a lot of like, man, I'm actually kind of cool. I got some really awesome friends and family. I'm trying to remember, girlfriend? I can't remember. I think so, yeah. There was a lot going on at that time. But I just had to be honest with myself. Last night I was talking to the students and they're like, but that's really hard. I said, yeah, but if it wasn't working and I wanted things in my life. I wanted joy. So I held myself back from having that joy because I didn't look at myself and say, you know what, from this point on, no more. Right? Period. We're moving forward. Okay? I had to accept my story. One of the first things I always talk about is know your story. We all got stuff. Good, bad, ugly, and uglier. Own it. Own it. Part of this is forgiving yourself. I had to accept that the choices that I made, or the choices that were made upon me, whatever the result, I had to be okay with it in order for me to move forward. And I had to learn how to love myself. There's one here that I forgot. You'll see it later. But we talked about it already. Find your support system. You can't do it alone. When I was out in LA, I had my best friend, my mentor, Orpheus Black, my best friend, Henry Rodriguez, and a couple of other fighters, people that I trained martial arts with. They lifted me up when I was down. They lifted me up when I wanted to be down. They lifted me up. You got this. They were real with me. Radical vulnerability. Okay, next. All right, my favorite. Thoughts are things. Okay, next. All right. How many of you at some point have felt how you're thinking affects how you feel, and then therefore what you end up doing? Maybe even this morning, maybe right now. Right? Yeah. It is so important. When I started thinking about the words that lots of times it happened like when I was sitting, maybe in meditation, sometimes when I was boxing. You suck! You can't do this. Why can't you do this? Come on! Other people, they're better. Blah, blah. Right? All these negative things that we say to ourselves. I forgot the statistic, but I usually put it up, but I forgot this time. How many negative things that we say to ourselves versus positive? Negative outweigh positive. Think about it. If I'm saying mean things to myself, then I'm feeling I probably won't like myself. Or I might, I think lots of things that we're dealing with right now is the anger. There's a lot of anger happening around, which leads to some of these violence cases. Behavior. thoughts, feelings, behavior. Next slide. So there's a study about genetics, and Dr. Bruce Lipton, I've heard of this guy a few times. I like what he speaks on. Some of the stuff I can't wrap my brain around it, but it's awesome. And he says, what you are thinking is translated to chemistry that would determine what you will become. It's biochemistry. Our bodies respond to our thoughts, which determine how we act. It's biology. I'm not a scientist at all. I'm on the other side of science. Although, side note, in high school I failed biology because I didn't go to class. I was hanging out with the cool kids. No, just kidding. The cool kids were also in biology, and they did actually really well. But when I went to college, where did I go again? Oh yeah, North Hennepin Community College. A long time ago. I by accidentally filled in biology, but I chose the biology for all the kids that were gonna continue sciences. And I'm sitting there like, whoa, this is like biology. and like the book is like super fit, right? Big paperweight. But the teacher that taught it was so engaging. At one point, like he's talking, blah, 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 and he had a thing about taking off his shoe and putting it in his mouth. Sorry, COVID, I know. But at that time, that's what he did, and I just resonated with that. Like, man, this guy's so cool, so funny. Always talking about biology. So I kept on going, and anyways, I did really well. So, oh yeah, in high school, I came back and I got an A+ in that class. I forgot about that. Mr. Schultz, sorry. Okay, next. Okay, the garden. The garden. I love this. So if you're having a hard time figuring out, like I need something tangible to understand my thoughts, my feelings, and my behavior. The garden. In the book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, another book that changed my life. There's a story, a fable about the garden. Right? So if you think about the garden, you think of your mind like the garden. Right? Do you want to water it? Do you want to nurture it? Do you want to provide food that nourishes it? Or do you want to stomp on it? Do you want to ignore it? Do you want to neglect it? When I heard that, every time I had a negative thought, I want my garden to be pretty. I want my garden to have flowers that blossom. I love colors. Not to say that this isn't like a cool image, like I like Tim Burton movies and, Sleepy Hollow and that kind of stuff, and Halloween, right? But my mind, coming back to the mind, I thought, I want it to be beautiful. I want it to shine. So I'm going to water it. I'm going to take care of it. And I started noticing my feelings started changing. My behavior started changing. Oh my gosh. Sorry, those of you that don't like this word, manifest. Stuff was manifesting. I didn't understand it. But because it was working, I just kept on doing it. Just like boxing. I don't know how it works, but each time I practiced my right, left, right, ooh, right? Sorry if you're excited about boxing, martial arts. That's what it's about. Okay, next. All right, quiet the noise. Okay, next. Here we go. So much noise. Social media. Right? We're waking up, we're checking our phones. I'm guilty of it. I'm trying really hard not to. But the first thing, if we check, we're already being persuaded, we're already being even traumatized. Because you don't know what's going to pop up on that feed. But it's also, our minds are like, I need to turn it on. So we got to be careful with that. Because when we do that, it's harder and harder to listen to our own voice. Radical vulnerability. It's difficult if you don't practice radical vulnerability and you're listening to all this noise. Social media, society, politics, even parents. Not to say that parents are right or wrong. I'm just saying they influence us. The people that we love, mentors, they all influence us, influence us in a certain way. Some of us in a negative way, some of us in a positive way. Some of us, they're sharing out of their own fears. That's why radical vulnerability is so important, because at some point I realized, like, we don't all, like, nobody knows what's right, what's wrong, what's the best thing. But if you have that conversation, my girlfriend calls them courageous conversations. Have those conversations. Hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? You know what? I'm going to respect you, but I'm going to listen to you. Our world needs that more than ever. Can I agree to disagree? Can I have my own opinion? So quiet the noise is so important, because how can you get to know who you are? My mentor used to say, I have 2 questions to ask you. Who are you and why do you matter? At that time, my answer was always, nope, that's not what I mean. To this day, I don't know if I've ever answered him the question. But I understand a little bit more of what he's asking. Next slide. There he is. I was just talking about him. So my mentor, Orpheus Black, used to say, the hardest conversation is the one you have. Sorry. The hardest conversation to have is the one with yourself. So he would say, when you come home, or when you find a quiet spot, you turn down the noise, quiet the noise. What do you hear? What are you saying to yourself? Are you listening? Are you avoiding? Are you covering it? Are you masking it? Are you being vulnerable? I can't tell you how many times I did that. I started crying. It felt so good to just be okay, giving myself permission to feel it. One of my favorite things to share with people, and last night they corrected me. I said 3 words. And I said, feel what you feel. And they said, hey, come on, why are you so quiet? Why are you so quiet, huh? They said, it's 4 words. I was like, yeah, okay. So, so I'm gonna use that now. Thank you. Feel what you feel. We're human beings. Emotions, all the emotions are healthy. Anger is not a bad thing. It's only bad when it's used in a bad way. When we hurt people, when we harm people, when we harm ourselves. Sadness, crying. I'm doing a lot more work with more conversations around healthy masculinity. Right? Lots of us only know how to express through anger and not enough of tapping into our sadness. Do we get sad? Yes. Happy, joy, feel that too. Get excited about it. Don't hide about it. You know, I grew up in a family, you know, our culture, yeah, you can be happy, but you know what? Like, let other people be happy too. Yes, I am, but I want to be happy too. I want to be filled with joy. Radical vulnerability. All right, next slide. How are we doing with time? Just want to... Okay, so these are some tidbits with quieting the noise. Find a practice. So for me, it's martial arts, boxing, yoga, meditation, but there's so many kinds of meditation. I like the seated guided meditation. I like to hear someone talking. I also like to just sit. Those of you that are having a hard time with grasping like the concept of meditation, people seem to like this. It's kind of like a computer. When it's on, it's on. When it goes on standby, right? What do you got to do to wake it up? Move the mouse, right? Go to sleep. Shut it down. Right? Computer, computer won't die until you break it. Right? Okay. So, just like that, we need to pause so we can hear our own voices. And not the voices that are influenced by other people, our own voices. So when Orpheus asked me, who are you, why do you matter? He meant, who are you? Who are you? And why do you matter? Again, it was tough to answer that. Does anyone have a practice that they use, that they would like to share? I apologize, didn't get to some of you that want to share. Please share during lunch. I think this is beautiful. Get to practice more radical vulnerability with each other. So along the lines of what we're talking about, create new rituals or habits. I don't like to use that word habits. I like rituals. It's more sacred. So it may mean the first thing when I wake up, I'm not going to check my phone. Right? There's a podcast I was listening to, and they were saying, the first hour, check your phone. Okay. There's your new ritual. Try it. May work, maybe not. Okay? But that's what I mean. Some of these things we need to, you're talking about being uncomfortable. Right? Learn to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. That's another topic on a different day. Find a great support system. We just talked about that. Awesome. Okay, next. Okay. Next, because I think we covered that pretty good. All right. I want to make sure that we get a chance to do this before we go. What is one thing you will take away from today? Always like to hear everyone, what they're thinking, their thoughts. So please, feel free. We can popcorn it if we want. Yes. I'm going to share it with you, thank you, along with what you just said. So last night I got this message on the way back from where we were yesterday. There you go, right? And I was driving back to my hotel, and I get this Facebook message from somebody I don't normally get messages from, but he's also a speaker, also Asian speaker, and he just sent me this message, and I told him, like, yeah, I'm gonna do my keynote. I'm super excited. I'm nervous. I'm excited. And then he said, I don't remember exactly, but he was saying that, recently he's been doing research about speakers, and if you go in nervous, if you go in like that, that's what you will be. And he said, but if you go in like you're gonna kill it, right? And I was like, I'm gonna kill it, right? And I already knew that at some point I was gonna, because I love this stuff so much, and I love just having an opportunity to share this with you, to interact with you. It's like my favorite thing. Again, I'm gonna go home and get some sleep, hopefully. But when he said that, it kind of like manifested. It's like the work that he does. He sent me a message. He was like, "Thank you for supporting, my messages. I don't know if people are hearing me." And I'm like, I don't always check his stuff, because a lot of his stuff doesn't resonate with me. It really doesn't. It's kind of like, oh, that's not. That's a different podcast, right? But the fact that what he does resonates with me. So I want to be, last night we were talking about cheerleader. All right? I want to be the cheerleader for him to be reminded of that, because we need that. Again, support system. So we manifested that in each other's lives. Okay. Next slide. I think this is okay. Come back. The theme. Why not me? Okay, next. One more. Why not you? Why not? Okay, next. All right, this is my own. If you don't like it, sorry. To be a leader, you can follow what has been done before. But to be a great leader, you must first learn to be okay with yourself and learn how to love yourself. I would not be up here doing this if I didn't believe in this. Because I knew I was a leader. After I met my mentor, I wanted to be great. Muhammad Ali is my hero. When he used to say, pick a boxer, I was like, oh, I like this guy, Ali. I don't know enough about him. And then I started fighting, and he was like, he showed me how to fight like Ali. And it worked. Until it didn't. Okay, next. One. Okay, let's say this together, all right? So, can you back it up? All right, ready? Go for it. Live with courage. Face your fears through radical vulnerability. Awesome. Give yourself a round of applause. And next slide. Okay, so just to wrap up, I have a little gift for you that I made. There's a story I'd like to share, but I knew that I wouldn't have enough time, so I wanted to give that to you. So please, and then there's a feedback for my presentation today, because I'm trying to be great. Yeah, so, and then there's one more slide at the end here. So when everyone's good, thumbs up with this slide before we switch it. Good, okay? We're gonna switch it, okay? 3, 2, 2.1, and okay, so I just wanted a way to for you to stay in contact and reach out, whatever you need, any questions. And I'm trying to put more content out there. Yeah, just trying to put the thing together. So, but I love having these courageous conversations. I love talking about vulnerability, and I love being a leader for other leaders. So I wish you a great rest of the day. Thank you for sharing this space together. Enjoy your lunch. Be nourished by it. Don't be afraid to say hi to someone. Ask them questions. If you don't know what to ask, first thing that pops in your head, go for it. Thank you. I think those of you that invited me to come speak, I really enjoyed this, and